Hey, Brent here with Alternative Wedding DJ. I'm the guy that put together this collective of DJs back in 2017. You can read on our website kind of the context of why we did it and our history, but want to talk more about you because I can imagine like what you're facing is like you're getting married. Okay, congratulations. Now you got these people coming from all different parts of community, the country, whatever, and you're thinking to yourself, like, if you're bringing these people together, like, you want them to have a great time. You want to throw a kick-ass party, and you're a little hesitant about booking a DJ because you've been to some weddings where the DJ was horrendous or scary or just took away rather than adding to the atmosphere, like, and you don't want that. You're scared of that. Okay, so good news is that we're not that. Okay. And I can tell you why we're not that. So what you've experienced that you didn't like so well in the past, like, that's what we call a wedding DJ. Okay. And whereas our collective is nightclub DJs. Okay. And it kind of comes down to competition, consistency, and the direct feedback you get as a nightclub DJ. So for example, when you do weddings, a lot of times it's like a one and done experience. So, like, if you were to redo the wedding the next weekend, you might be like, oh, we're not going to use that same one. We're going to use a different one. But you don't have that. That doesn't happen, right? So, whereas nightclub DJs, like, the goal of the nightclub DJ is like, you play around a lot of different places, but like, you really kind of want to find like a residency, meaning like you play this every Friday at this one consistent place. Like that's a big goal for a lot of nightclub DJs. And in order to do that, there's a lot of competition. You have to really bring your A game because, if 1 week you do horrible, you could get fired, and there's going to be plenty of other competition right behind you that will take that spot. You also get a lot of direct feedback from the crowd. If you aren't doing a good job, they will tell you by leaving the establishment and going to the next place. Whereas like at a wedding, they'll leave the dance floor, but they're not going to leave the party because they're there for you. They're not there for, the DJ or whatever, right? So I'll kind of break it down a little bit further, like to contrast like the two so you understand this. And you can kind of see what the value we bring. So like a lot of wedding DJs, turns out they don't know how to mix music together, like blending, two songs so they kind of overlap in a way and it's seamless. Whereas like nightclub DJs, like that is a prerequisite. Like you really, like if you can't do that, like don't bother. Okay. So the benefit to you is that you don't have awkward pauses between songs. It's kind of a seamless blend. The party doesn't stop. It just keeps on shuffling onto the next thing. So another thing characteristic of wedding DJs is some of them tend to talk on the microphone too much, like kind of obnoxiously. And part of it is a reaction to the fact that they can't mix, so they talk in between the song, or they just come with this mentality that like they're a performer, they want to entertain, but then they end up kind of taking it too far and they make it about them by how much they draw attention to them. Rather, what we want to do is put the attention on you and the guests and making sure everybody's having a good time. Okay. So we'll use the mic. We're not afraid to use the mic, but we do it sparingly. We do it appropriately, and with class. Okay. And so the value to you is that your vibe stays good. We don't ruin it. We don't make it about us. We keep the focus on you. Another thing is like wedding DJs will oftentimes play cringe because they get rewarded for it. If they can't figure out how to make the crowd dance, they can play some line dance, or they can play the chicken dance or the Cuban shuffle, and like boom, you're gonna get a bunch of people flooding in. And whereas like nightclub DJs tend to be more like tastemakers, they want people to have a good time. A lot of them do want to play music that people can recognize, but they want to intersect it with like without having to sell their soul to make that happen. So the result, the value for you is you just get better music that people like. So nightclub DJs, because they need to read the room in order to make things work. I like to think that we can go into any wedding without you telling us much about it, your group at all, and we can do what we call like fishing, where we're just like, try this bait, this old school track, see what happens. Try this like hip hop song, try this pop song, this contemporary thing that just came out last week, and like see, you know, what mixes and works, and go from there. But if like, you know, if a party is like a 1 to 10 and we want to get to 10, like you can help us get to the 10 faster because you have certain context with like songs that, you know, like imagine you and your friends from college, summer of whatever, whenever this song came on, it was your anthem, right? So then if you tell us like, hey, you got to play this one song, then we drop it, and then like you're all sort of like side-eyeing each other, like this is our moment, you know, boom, nostalgia kicks in, you run on the dance floor, you have that experience, you know, boom, great. Or let's say you have a fun, you know, or goofy family that when you get together, you play a certain song, everybody sings it, there's a certain dance that Uncle Henry does or whatever, you know, like, you know that, we don't. So give us those tools and we'll magnify them. We'll kind of take all those different pockets of your life and time and eras, and we'll kind of mix them together into one experience and take everybody along the ride for that. Also, I did this thing for my wedding, and I recommend it to everybody. It works really great. It's like, if whatever it's like, say you stream music, Spotify, Apple, whatever, make four playlists. Okay, so do ceremony, cocktail hour, dinner, and dance party. And make this fun between now and your wedding. Don't like 3 nights before, like, oh, I gotta grind this out, you know, like. So you probably have like a year, maybe a year and a half. Like between now and then, you're on a road trip, you're making your meals together, you're listening to music, and you're like, ooh, that song, that's gonna be cocktail, or ooh, that's the dance party. Drop in the dance party playlist right there, you know. And so you can do this as much as you want. Some couples are like, here's 5 songs, and some people are like, here's 100. You know, like, we'll take it. You don't, you know, just make it fun for you, and then you can make those. You can take those playlists, turn them into links, email them to us, and then a week before we see it, and we're like, cool, awesome. We can build upon this. So you like this artist, or you like this era, like, oh, we got stuff we can kind of are related, and we'll build up a whole thing kind of around that and customize it and make it really fun and kind of tell your story musically. On the flip side, tell us what you don't want to hear. Give us the no list. Like, do not play these. You know, a lot of people are like, they don't want the line dances, you know. Or they say, like, you know, don't take requests, or take requests with discretion, or, you know, whatever people want. Or sometimes people say no requests, but in the middle of the night they're like, hey, just whatever people want, just make sure they're having fun. You know, like, we can be flexible, it doesn't matter. And the same thing too, like, you know, everything I've shared so far, you've read about us, so you're probably thinking like, oh, these guys are too cool for us, you know, like we do kind of like some like cringy stuff, or like, you know, I'm afraid to ask for this. Like, no, like, it's all good, no shame. Like, the thing is like, you're paying us enough money that our goal is to make sure you have a good time. Okay, so if there's something silly or that you're afraid to ask, do not do that. Just be like, here you go, no shame. Like, do this. Our thing is we want to embolden you to have the non-typical experience, because it's going to be better, and because it's going to represent you as a couple as well in that process. But if you got some wedding classics you want to hear, whatever, all good. Just wanted to make that real clear. So if all this sounds good and you're like, this is sweet, how do I sign up? So you've been sent a link to a form. You click on that, fill in information. It's going to have then at the end information on how and where to send a deposit. Once we get those 2 things, then if we've already figured out who your DJ is, then you're locked in. The date is reserved, and then I'll connect you to your DJ. Maybe that's me. And with kind of the next steps, and part of it's like what we talked about, playlist, and then your timeline. Once you have your timeline together, then you would be ready to meet with your DJ whenever you want. And typically most people do this like a month before, or, you know, a couple weeks before. No sweat off our back, right? However that goes down. And so we're going to go through it with you. Could be over the phone, in person, whatever you prefer, and, you know, virtual. And we're going to see, you know, from that, like, this is where we fit in. This is where you need us to do certain things and ask questions, you know, go over playlists, all that. Cool. So some of the things that we kind of help out with, apart from just playing music, is obviously MCing. So we can help talk on the mic to push people along, you know, gracefully into the next parts of the night. If you have a buffet, we can dismiss tables. We can do that, no problem. If you don't have a wedding planner and you're kind of worried about keeping on time, we can do that. We got the list. We go, oh, and then, you know, hey, I've gone up to wedding couples, like they got their second cousin from they've never seen in their life before talking their ear off, and I'm like, oh, sorry, excuse me, we got to do the cake cutting right now. Oh, okay, all right, good. Well, we can do that. Kind of keep things moving along, so they're not getting stuck and stale. And then a couple things that that little tricks that we do. We don't typically do like these different games, or if you want to do something in particular, like that's cool. But some of the things that you might want to request that I think work well is okay. So you have done your first dances and family dances, and then now it's supposed to be this transition into like dance party. How do you make that happen? So it's what I call a group photo trick. So we work with a photographer. They'll stand on a chair somewhere high, and we'll just like, okay, we want, I'll get a mic, everybody come on over. We're going to do a group photo before people head off in their different areas of the night. This kind of a roll call, so they can look back, 20 years from now, see this photo and be like, oh, and Jamie was here, so come on, friends, family, near and far, like we're going to gather up. And then, we do the smile photo. Of course, we do the goofy photo. And then it's like, all right, now everybody put your hands in the air and shake it around. And then it's like, that's when we drop the beat, lights go down, things start moving around, and then bam, dance party. Like everybody's there. And it's great because the wallflowers, they would never venture to the dance floor, and now all of a sudden, like, they're in the middle of it, and so you get them, and the photographer is already there, so they're snapping photo action shots. And then some of the folks that they like dancing, but they're just a little shy, and they need that. They need someone to give them permission. Like, boom, you just gave them permission. Like, they're there, they're in the middle of it. So it's a really great way to start off with a bang. And then end of the night, I want you to also think about like one song that you want to play as the last song. And so what we do is you're going to generally be, it's you, bride and groom, in the middle of the room. And, it really works well as if it's kind of epic, but kind of silly, and maybe a little slower. And then we'll call in people, circle up, whoever's left around, and we'll have this moment, like you're in the center, your friends, family around you. And if it feels right, be like, all right, and grab hands and sway back and forth. They have this kind of kumbaya energy. And maybe if it's a song people know, then the chorus comes and everybody's singing it. Maybe, we drop the fader. So it's then all you hear is just the people singing it, bring it back up. And then at the end of the song, it's okay, and everybody's running for a bear hug. And then it's poof, everybody's hugging each other. And it's this wonderful little, okay, all right, music's done, lights up, night's over, and it's a fun, epic way to end things. Anyway, so that's kind of a taste, a flavor of what we do. Hopefully something in that, if that you're you got excited watching this, then there's a good chance that this is going to be great that we do this together. So, and also, I don't know if I mentioned this, if you want to connect with your DJ before you do the booking too, have a one-on-one with them, that's totally fine too. Love to link that up. Want to make sure you just feel right and confident about what you're getting into. So hit us up. Look forward to talking to you.